Welcome to the Loose Change Podcast. I'm Free Advice Guy with my co-hosts Zanku and Izzy. We're just some dudes talking some things, and this is our very first episode.
Hey, welcome in, guys. So, gentlemen, it's finally nice to get you guys all in here, get us all together, and actually get the podcast up and running. It's been about a month in preparation and gathering the right group of people and fixing our technical bullshit that we all deal with. But it's good to see you guys all here together and us actually doing this.
Better to be here.
Glad we could pull through.
I think it's best if we go one by one and just give a little bit of background about us, what we do, what we're about. Maybe introduce your channels to the chat, and we'll go from there.
Izzy, you wanna go first?
Yeah, Izzy, you're at the top of my screen, brother. So sure. I'm gonna let you lead the way, bud.
Oh boy. My name's Izzy. My channel name's ItsaIzzy. Outside of streaming, I work in sort of health field. I support people with developmentally disabled. Other than that, you can pretty much always find me here.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I think you're missing some key points, sir.
What's that?
I
have a
engaged father of one.
That's very true. I do have a kiddo. He's
a homeowner before you were 30. Can we talk about these things, sir? You're missing some major points.
I mean, yeah, I do have a kiddo. He's 4. He's a very wonderful, very energetic kid. Super smart. Already in preschool for his 2nd year, and yeah, living in a small town.
He is a very, very well-mannered little man until he is behind Isaiah while Isaiah is trying to stream and communicate with us.
Then he's wild.
And then
if you tune into my streams, you will definitely be able to hear him. And
Daddy, is that Ricky? I hear that quite often. But yeah. I think you hit on the most of the keynotes. Advice guy?
Yeah, Free Advice Guy. Gamer tag is too woke. You can call me anything you want, really. Professionally, I've been a certified financial planner professional, financial advisor since 2014. I worked at Vanguard for over 13 years, and I quit my job last year to hopefully change the world and give free advice to the masses. I'm also a married father of 3, have a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, 1-year-old. Life's beautiful.
Excellent. This man new to a T. I'm a little bit more colored than that, I would say. My name's Zanku, Ricky, whatever you want to call me. I have done many things along the way. I used to work in the same field as Isaiah. I was a DSP for 5 to 7 years. I did direct support for developmentally challenged and disabled people. I was a manager at a grocery store produce section for like 2 or 3 years. I worked in a nursing home for 10 years as a cook. And I also cooked outside of nursing home in restaurants for better part of my college time. I have 5 children, 4 of mine and a stepson, 4 boys and a girl, ranging from 9 months up to 12. So the house is never quiet. There's never a dull moment, and there's always something that needs to be done that I'm pushing off. For the last year, I have had an amazing support system in the form of my baby mother and my girlfriend, whom I've been with for about 5 years now. And they have full support for me to pursue my dreams in streaming and video editing and podcasting and things of that nature. And that is what birthed the idea of the Loose Change podcast. So I guess a little bit of this has to do with them allowing me the free time to express myself creatively over the internet. And that led us all here tonight. So I don't know about you guys, but there's been an absolute shit ton of going on in the world as of lately. If we want to talk, I think it's easier to get the harder things out of the way. So like politically, any opinions on our newly inaugurated president? And I will say, I don't know if it's all good, but it's absolutely the most productive, like, couple weeks of a president in, like, my lifetime. This man signed, like, 300 executive orders, already signed a bill into law, and as of today was dealing with a commercial flight hitting a military helicopter crash, which is got to be wild for a new president, especially the state of the country currently. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that was the video last night was pretty wild. Man, the presidency. There's so many things to go over. Hopeful for less regulation. I would love less taxes as well. We'll see. We'll see what comes through.
Mm-hmm.
But it has been a productive 10 days?
Yeah. I mean, in less than 2 weeks, he's probably done more than, the last half of the Biden presidency. That's wild. And I'm not saying everything that he's done is good or bad. He's ruffled some feathers. I can't remember the last time I heard one of our presidents say something was bullshit on a live interview. But I love Trump in certain ways, and sometimes I just like everybody, I put my hand on my head and it's like, all right, I agree with 99% of this, but that you could have left that part out type thing. So I'm hopeful. That's definitely a word. I'm hopeful to remove ourselves from wars across the world, which seems to be one of his major priorities. I don't know how I feel about the birthright citizenship thing. I don't really feel like I have a big opinion on that because it's really not. Live in upstate New York. I knew the same 20 people the entirety of going through high school. The whole school had 300 people. We don't have a ton of diversity up here, so it's not. I tend to not try to talk about things I don't know about. Is more where I'm leaning. But
yeah,
I felt quite a bit taken back by the whole. He literally hit the ground running and has not stopped. So hopefully the wheels keep turning. The country sustains this level of hopefulness, because that's really where it feels like we're at. It does feel like a lot of the political climate went from fighting the woke agenda to now let's repair our country. And God, I hope that that's where we stay.
Yeah.
I think the birthright citizenship, I think it's a wild, thing that's happened. The fact that we allowed that at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless you have.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir. Oh, I was going to say, unless you have extremely regulated borders, you should not have birthright citizenship. It does not make sense.
I think my biggest issue with it is, no matter what way you entered our country, if you did it with the intention of having a child and you manage that, you are then able to access any bit of our social services to then provide for that child that may not have even gotten into the country legally, but we just claim him because he was born on American soil. 90% of the world does not do that. It's just wild that we have for so long, and I understand why there's so much uproar about trying to overturn it, but at the same time, just because something has been that way for so long doesn't mean it's right.
I researched the birthright citizenship, and there were a couple of cases, but the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were all created one right after another to essentially make slave citizens.
Absolutely. I did a little. So the two most effective times in that amendments period is we had an influx of Indian Arab people. I want to say late 1800s-ish, or 1950s, 60s, not 1800s. And then obviously slavery. Those are the two big things. And one was during the Industrial Revolution, and the other one we were literally freeing slaves and trying to give them citizenship and human rights. So those two instances make sense because it was legal immigration and us freeing people that should never have been, enslaved in the first place. But for other countries to openly admit that it's like, Yes, my wife was 8 months pregnant, so we tried our hardest to get her into America so she could have the baby in America, because they know that cements them into our country, which is just absolutely the most absurd way that you could think of to become a citizen anywhere. Like the whole flawed thought process is just something I really have a hard time wrapping my head around.
Well, incentives drive behaviors. And this
Oh,
isn't
absolutely.
just for this. It's for everything in the economy, just how people behave. So there's an incentive to do that, and we should remove the incentive, and it would essentially, it wouldn't fix the problem, but it would help it.
I agree with that, and we also have a big problem, like all over the world, where no matter what your moral compass is telling you to do, a lot of people can't see a ton of other people doing something, even though they think it's wrong, and not join in and do it. Like, it's just one of those things. That's why mass looting is a problem, because you can't just be, oh, those guys are breaking into a place, and then you have, oh, well, if they're not going to get in trouble, I might as well do it, that type of thing. And that's where I think a lot of it is. It's like, well, they've seen so many people gain citizenship that way for so long, that's just a new avenue that they started taking, which is crazy, because we've not tried to fight that really ever in my, like, adult life where I can think about this being a topic of conversation.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think the case itself, because if you look at the actual terminology, there are people who make arguments about how English was written and spoken back then, but it does say no foreigners. I think foreigners, aliens, and then it says something specifically about the children of ambassadors or
emissaries and shit like that. Yep. Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about. But yeah, exactly. And a lot of people will spin the way that the English language is used and try to spin it in their advantage to, get something out of it that wasn't necessarily intended.
Yeah, on both sides. So we'll see. But if you just go to the logic of it, or the wording of it, they never intended for someone to be able to just like step foot, have a child, and then bam, citizenship.
Exactly. That was never the intention. But now, if you have a child on anywhere in our country, that child's immediately a citizen.
Well, this is the one question I've heard that really lines it up. If you and your wife, girlfriend go to Italy and have a child, that child is not Italian.
Exactly.
It's assumed American because you are under American jurisdiction.
Exactly. So if your parents come into our country illegally and have you, you still belong to the country they came from. Not to, like, if we take a vacation and my girlfriend has a baby while we're on vacation, that kid is still American. Like, it just doesn't make sense that that's the rationale. And I understand. You're completely right. The incentive is what's driving that rationale. They don't see anything but that the citizenship, the benefits, a better life. And I get that. But the problem is we have too many Americans with such a poor quality of life now that we need to take care of ours before we can take care of others.
It's a kind of a side topic to that. But are we okay to kind of swing subjects here?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen. The natural flow of the conversation is exactly what I would like it to be. 100%.
All right. So, social media is blowing up now about foreign aid.
Yep.
And, I think Matt Walsh called for it and he was getting some backlash, but foreign aid to other countries before we look like Abu Dhabi doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Like billions and billions of dollars a year we're just sending out as a taxpayer. And the thing that actually bothers me the most is I had no say in it. Right.
They don't. That isn't something that was voted on by the American people. That was just something that a government official decided that they needed and would benefit us in somehow. Or not to swing off that, but foreign aid that's unnecessary. The $50 million in condoms to Hamas.
Yeah, and they get them for like
I
5
didn't even
cents
hear
a
about
piece.
that.
Yes,
What?
exactly.
Yeah, so we're talking like 100 million actual condoms being sent there or
Yeah.
something crazy. Like it was some wild number. But then you go into the internet and they're like, nah, they're just money laundering. There's absolutely no way they were going to spend $50
Yeah.
million and send that.
But
I was about to
the
say, that is
absurdity to
so
hear
much.
our president, like I've spent a good, like, I don't know why I've gotten older, I guess. I spend way too much time watching the news at this point, and I know it filters me what I want to see, but I've watched so much Trump in the last few days, and like just like some of the absurd stuff that comes out of like right field when we're having like completely normal political conversations. Then you hear the $50 million in condoms to Hamas, and it's like somehow some of this just doesn't fit in. And like no, the American people aren't dumb. It's like if me, you, and Isaiah sitting here can come to that conclusion after 30 minutes of conversation, what's the normal American gonna do? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
So you were saying something about 5 cents a condom?
Yeah, that the
Yep.
I forgot how it was connected, but that they could get them for 5 cents. So you'd have to multiply that by 50 million. So maybe it's 250 million condoms.
So I just did a quick search. There are 15 billion condoms made each year.
Jesus Christ. Excuse my Jesus. That's a lot of fucking, bro. Gee, we
Like
don't.
I said, I was just trying to like kind of
Did the population
proportion-
problem fix itself?
population problem's fixing itself right now. Like there's a recess in the amount of people
I know, but
producing.
But doesn't that also come ironically close to one of the most ignorant periods of time that we've ever had?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't mean that in like a negative way on people. I just mean like statistically speaking, we are more stupid than we were 20 years ago. It just doesn't make sense. The American child compared to the rest of the world is just blown out of the water. I harp on my children heavily for this reason. It's like, I'm not letting you grow up in the school system that you're in right now because it wasn't the school system I grew up in. And I fear for them being adults and just not having a real concept of what life is because of the way that we raise children and how dumb the current culture is.
I think a lot of that has to go off of how much we rely on like the internet. Like we have all this knowledge given to us. We don't have to go out and learn it.
But you don't understand how. So we spend a good amount of time on the internet, so we're a little bit more vetted than the average person. The average person, like say our parents, have the hardest time deciphering between what is fake and what isn't. That's why there's so many fact checks on every website now.
Yep.
And like I have a hard time like talking politics or things like that. I have a hard time talking about anything other than sports with my father at this point because he leans just the opposite way, so we just never see eye to eye on very much. But I always feel like he's bringing up stuff and I was like, are you sure that was real? It's like, are you sure you're not getting pushed propaganda? Because so many people just see something one time, won't fact check it and move on and just take that as the word. And it's frightening to see people out there walking around just in a state of stupidity. I call it processor lag.
Yeah, people don't check sources anymore. I don't review any really mainstream media source at all. I'll be honest, X has sort of taken it over, but from there I actually go to the actual source because everything that somebody writes has some sort of slant on it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
There's never just facts anymore. Like to bring up a super controversial one, when Trump said the very fine people thing. Within 60 seconds after that, he said, and I'm not talking about neo-nationalists and white supremacists or whatever he said, who should be condemned totally. The media was there. They heard him say that. But they repeated over and over and over again to the point I've had conversations with people who swear to me they heard him say what he didn't say. And when I show them the clip again, they see it, you could see the cognitive dissonance hit them, and then they just kind of want to move on. They don't want to talk about it anymore. No, that's fine that this was false. Everything else I believe is true, though, and it's okay.
Right. So that reminds me of, so I think it was like during the last election, not when, the stolen election, where they put it was 50 some odd news channel broadcasts side by side, and the opening 35 seconds are word for word identical. And it's just if you can't understand that they're pushing an agenda, you're part of the problem, and you're not doing it on purpose, and that's terrifying. Because you have people that are uninformed walking around making uninformed decisions about shit they have no clue about. And that's what leads to state of craziness where I don't really even like to get into the whole wokeness conversation, but it always brings me back to it. It's like, at some point, somebody didn't tell you what you were doing was fucking wrong. And it's clear. And now this is years of not being told something is wrong. And you get a whole world pandering to everybody but the people that need them the most.
Yeah.
Sorry, I definitely take a little bit more controversial takes when it comes to that. I have two mothers. My mother left my father after 22 years of marriage and is now happily married to a woman. I have no problem with any of that shit. I just have the problem with the way that the agenda is pushed. My mother and my children have great relationship. Never once have they know that she's married to a woman, but they also know that was a choice and that it's not it's not. I'm not saying it's not the norm. It's more normal now, but it's I don't know the statistics, but I know it's not often that you actually are born and just think you're gay. I don't understand that scenario where we're pushing hormone suppressant drugs on kids that can't even decide if they can fucking have dinner tonight, but they can decide if they're a boy or a girl. That's just I can't. As a father of 5, it always just made me hate the world.
Well, I just find it this is definitely controversial, but to me, as a father of 3, there's no way that the parents didn't push the kids down that path.
Exactly. I know my children. They do what I mold them to do.
Yeah, my kid. If I told my kid tomorrow he was a girl, he'd probably believe he was a girl because he doesn't know what it means to be a man. There's no
exactly.
So yeah, that's a little bit tough to sit back and watch. You can only insulate your kids, and you can only insulate them for so long before they're exposed to something. But
agreed.
That's really where I have it. I'm a individual liberties type of person. I believe everyone should be free to do what they want.
We're in agreement there, and I'm fairly certain Isaiah stands on the same exact footing. It's just there's no world where a parent doesn't influence their child's decisions. If you're a good parent, you do, because you're trying to influence them in the right direction. But
especially as a 4 or 5 year old.
Yes, exactly. Some of the craziness, it's oh, he just came out and told me, you know what, moms? I think that I'm Jessica. I was what? You know what I would say to my son? I was okay, Jessica, go play for a while. And I'm sure Jordan would come back later. But they would take that and spin that into, we need to go talk to somebody about this. And pushing ideologies that children have no business even having any concept of into their brain. Of course they don't know how to rationalize that. Because most adults don't know how to rationalize it.
Yep.
Kids should be left alone. And you mentioned something. We were raised different. I think I'm older than both of you. I'm 40 years old. I grew up.
Yep. You got me by 4 years.
There we go.
Got me by 12.
There we go. But when I was a kid, I don't think once a teacher ever talked about their sexuality unless it was indirectly by they were married or had kids.
Yeah, same exact. So we actually had I was probably a junior, sophomore in high school. Our health teacher retired, and the new one was a lesbian. Everybody knew this. She never once had a conversation with us about it because she was a normal human and understood that we were impressionable children. And that wasn't what she was there to teach us about. She taught us about sex. She taught us about normal heterosexual sex. Like, she never once mentioned anything outside of what was in a textbook that was supposed to be taught to us. And I just don't think that a teacher in that position in this day and age could hold themselves back from not imposing some sort of direction.
So I think it goes further than that. Like, this is where I kind of diverge from others, because this is where like the woke, non-woke conversation comes in. But I think the problem is actually deeper than that, caused by social media. At the end of the day, I am insignificant. Like, in reality, I'm insignificant to this world. If I drop dead right now, my family would be sad. I don't mean anything like that. But in the way the world runs,
right, in the grand scheme of it all.
Yeah, social media has inflated people's values of themselves, that everybody needs to know how I think and feel. And you need to react to it. Like, no, man, just shut up. I don't need to know what you think or what you feel all the time, and it certainly doesn't matter. But people act like everyone needs to know, and it should be the most important thing.
I find myself looking at memories on Facebook. I don't own an account outside of Facebook. I just don't. I don't feel a need for it. Those are the people I went to school and college with, but I find myself looking at posts sometimes where I'm literally yelling at people. It's like, I don't give a fuck what you had for dinner, man. That's not what I was here for. I thought we were all here to just link up with each other, not look for instant gratification on this quiche I made earlier. It's just dumbfounding. Cool if you want to share some stuff. I guess that's your own thing, but the way that people use it to gloviate their sense of worth is just wild. It's oh, I had 100 likes on that, and they feel a certain kind of way about it. So I completely agree. They don't understand how insignificant in the grand scheme of things we all are.
So this is a total change, and I apologize, but not a total change. Sorry, but I got off social media probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. Because one day, I think I was at work, and I was scrolling through Facebook, and I had reached there's really nothing else to look at, and I closed the app. And then 2 minutes later, I pulled it back up again to look, and I realized, whoa, why did I just do that? I literally just got off this app because I got done. 2 minutes later, I felt the need to get back on it. So I deleted it. I was done with social media at that point. When I realized that happened to me, I was done. Now, I'm a content creator. And I'm back on social media, and things like likes, comments, subscriptions, they actually matter now. But it's for a business, or to see how it's impacting the world, as opposed to oh gee golly guys, I got 15 likes. That's so cool.
Right. It's the content matters, and that's really what it all if you're making real content and actually trying to put a message out there or sharing something you truly enjoy with the world, I can understand it. It's just a lot of these these content creators do some of the most random, insignificant day-to-day stuff, and I don't even understand how people watch it. It's I have a pretty boring life. I don't understand why they want to watch other people all day long. And so I feel like the content in itself is really what makes or breaks it. And you have a goal with your content to express an ideal and gain financial gains, things of that nature, get a message out. So you've already came on here with a plan. 90% of people that do this don't. They kind of fall into a niche over trial and error of years.
and that's unfortunately where people get locked into, like being a Valorant streamer.
Yep, a trend.
And
follow the trend.
Yeah, and then they go to Twitch and they drop like 70% of their viewership because, yeah, they watched you because you were either good at the game or they liked watching you play it, and then you switch and you lose a lot of your audience, and people kind of trip out. And I totally understand that. It is significantly harder to build up I forgot what they call it, variety stream base.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm working like mad. I literally do 5 or 6 different things because I like refuse to get locked in. But I do Valorant, Rivals, Stocks and Bonds, Always On. Like I really don't want to get locked into anything.
I don't think my brain would let me lock myself into, because like I feel like ebbs and flows. Part of sitting on a computer all day long is really finding ways to occupy yourself, because you can just fall into doing the same things over and over again. And that's, I definitely feel like I do a lot of the similar things that you do. I have 2 or 3 types of things that I do consistently, and then I try to mix it up every once in a while. This podcast being, one of those things that are trying to mix it up, see if we can't branch out and do something new.
Yeah. All right, are you guys? I'm gonna ask a question. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Even though I can say right now that all of us are working on this, Izzy, you got to do more work on this. But what do you guys think about population collapse happening around the world right now?
So I feel like I could have a better opinion on it if we had a real idea as to why it was happening. Because I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, what was it, 20 years ago we were at like population crisis where we thought we were going to run out of space on the planet, and
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was the most absurd thing in the world. And now I'm like in my mid 30s. I remember hearing this all the time as I was growing up, and now now we're at a point where the world is essentially like downsizing. So it's a crazy thing that's happening, but I don't know if it's necessarily good nor bad. People dying is never good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for the longevity of our planet, it like, who's to say? I don't know why we're here. Well, we're just another animal on the planet in my brain. So like, things go extinct every day. Maybe it's just the world balancing things. I don't know how, like, if I knew if this was a result of something humans did, or if like people were just living shorter lives because of X, Y, and Z, like, I guess I would have a different outlook. But I just hope that it's just, the world's equilibrium.
They're mostly just not having kids.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Izzy.
I actually watched someone on YouTube who is like an advocate for men, and some of the stats that she was saying was that on average men don't find someone that they want to spend the rest of their life with until like they're 30, while like women are trying to find people like earlier. And I think she was saying something along the same line that like, so men, if they don't find someone by the time they're like 30, if they aren't like looking for someone until they're 30, then like that's so many years that they just aren't having kids. And then they hit 30, like, who wants to start a big family at 30?
So as we discuss this in my head, I don't know what, you brought up the men advocate content, and immediately in my head I thought, well, maybe it's just because girls wanted to go and be them, find themselves for longer in their life, whereas when we were growing up, it was graduate high school, find a job, find a man, settle down, have kids, have a family. Like, I feel like that was like the American thing, what did they call it back in the 50s? The nuclear family? Like, but now it's like, that's not the thing. Like, I feel like out of all the people that I graduated with, I think like 70% of us don't have kids. I think I've definitely fallen the other side of the spectrum because like they're not married, they're out doing their own thing, they're that doing the van life thing. That's also a whole nother weird subsection of people that's started to happen. It's like people don't settle down and make families anymore. That's probably a huge contribution to why the population is just declining.
I think it's because of how children are framed now. You know, even 50 years ago, your kids were there to help out with life. Now everybody looks at kids as simply resource takers because life is so easy now.
Yep.
We're not on farms. We don't need them to pick our crops anymore, or work the fields with us anymore. So you only have kids almost from an innate desire to have children now.
Right. Oh, Lord.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, you took this in a real deeper place, and it makes sense what you're saying. But I never really even thought about it like that. Yeah, I imagine it does have a lot to do with how the children are raised, and it's just so much different. My children have a hard time grasping the fact that I didn't have the actual internet that we live in like this era until I was like 16. They don't get that. And they're like, well, you went to college for it, and you do your whole life on the internet. It's like, yeah, but like that's because it came out, and I was learning it as it developed, not because I didn't grow up with a phone and an iPad. It's like I don't even wish, because I know how much more I've enjoyed my life. I want them to go out and do things, but sometimes it's hard to push them in that direction because it's hard to be like, see all their friends do one thing and be like, you can't go hang out with your friends. No, you can't play with your buddies online. No, you can't, do your little video chat thing. It's such a weird landscape that the world is in. I want them outside.
Yeah, agreed. We don't put our kids on anything. They don't have tablets or anything. But the big scary thing about this all, because if you walk it out, like there's less people to take care of. Like, who really cares if we have less population, right? Like, what's the big deal? But any country, and that's most countries, that have any sort of welfare program, Social Security, pensions, whatever they are all dependent on at least one person being born for every person reaching a certain age or whatever. One person being born for every person dying. Because if you start to have less of a tax base to cover those welfare programs, you have to take more and more from the people living to the point that it becomes unsustainable. So that's one of the real scary thing about it. You don't have the younger generation.
Are we seeing those effects starting now? Or is this something that will probably happen like later on?
It'll probably be in our children's adult lives.
Yeah, because like if you look, you need I think 2.2 kids per woman to replace the population.
Jesus Christ, it's declined that much?
Yeah, I think that's just to replace. You only need 2.2. But in America, I think we're actually at like 2.1, so we're below, but barely. But if you go to, I think, South Korea, they're less than one child per woman on average right now.
Are they a country that imposes laws against having multiple children?
No.
Okay.
And they're starting to realize what this means. But this is where, like earlier, we were talking about incentivizing things. As a country or whatever, you have to have the population, at minimum, maintain itself for what you're doing, if you have any sort of welfare system. But what's the real incentive for you to go and have a kid right now?
The tax break you get when you file taxes.
Does $2,000 change anyone's life, though?
No, but that's the only incentive. I feel like that's half of what people worry about.
Imagine if women got a $10,000 tax credit per child.
That would be.
Would that not be more appealing?
Yeah. Yeah,
right? You got 5 kids. You're bringing home 50 G's to raise your children.
that
Like,
would be that's more than her average salary. So yeah, that'd be very nice.
So if you want things and I forgot what country did this recently, but they said for any women having children, you will never pay tax again. You will never pay income tax again. I forgot what country it was. I believe it might be. I don't think it's Scandinavian, but I'll have to think about it more. But you don't pay tax ever again as a woman if you have children.
That's
I think
incredible.
you have to have at least a certain amount, like 2 or something like that. But once you have the second, you never pay income tax again.
No shit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
You've
awesome.
incentivized it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where I think most policies are. They're not driven right. We're more worried about the punishment. I don't speed because I don't want a ticket. My incentive is to not get a ticket. All right, that works, right? But we're always worried about the punishment. But what about the positive? Like, why don't we push the positive or incentivize that positive behavior? Have kids, get money, or pay less tax, or whatever it is. That's how most policies should be, at least in my opinion.
No, yeah, there's got to be some sort of benefit for people to have to do something. I mean, that's just basic, like, barter system. The country is asking you to do something, well, the country needs to give you something in return.
Yeah, and it's a benefit to society, right? Because we were also, like you said, told that, population, we have too many, and then now they're like, well, we don't have enough kids, we need to import a bunch of people to make up for it. It's like, wait a minute. We were told for like 30 years that we were having too many kids, and now we have to bring people over to fix the response?
Yeah, so that comes back to like figuring out what is real and isn't real, because like that population shit had to have been fake, pushed on us as children. Like, because why would this make sense? Like, it doesn't make sense that in 20 years that we're in such a decline that we now need to bring people in to fix it. Like, what?
I think because people listen, right? They heard it on the news, so they listen. But like, it takes certain things. Like, I kind of joke. I know red pill is the vernacular for the internet, but I think it's just more like whatever exposes you or opens your mind or changes it. Because, like, every single human being in America could easily fit, I forgot if it was Alaska or Texas, with like an acre each. Every single person in America could fit in Texas with like an acre each or something like that. There is more than enough space in this world. Or like if you've ever flown over Middle America, it's just empty. There's nothing there.
Right.
Well, I'm going to be going off the grid a little bit, but that's why Elon Musk, what was it, Idaho? If we cover like a huge portion of Idaho with solar panels, we could power the entire United States with energy. It's like we have plenty of space.
Oh yeah. I think we need some other way to harness the sun, though. Solar panels are the way we're doing it now, but like the amount of digging into the earth for the minerals, and you got to clean them with a bunch of water, and then you have to eventually dispose of them in 10 to 15 years, and there's not really a way to recycle the stuff. Like, there's got to be a better way.
Agreed.
I just don't know what it is.
I think in due time there will be a better way. It's just that we aren't in the need of the better way now. What's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson? Is he the scientist?
Yep, sure is.
He's pretty famous, yeah.
Yep,
yeah, it's like what he was saying about cleaning water, like the ocean water, like taking the salt out.
Desalinating?
It's just not...
It's not feasible.
Necessary right now, but later in the future, if we ever run out of clean drinking water, then it would be feasible to do it. So I think once it gets to the point that we really need to start looking in different directions for harnessing that energy, we probably will.
Gotcha. I mean, yeah. Necessity breeds invention. That's how it's always been. So when the problem is here, that's when we'll develop and evolve, as we always do as a species. So I can't see us not figuring it out. I hate the whole doomsayers. I lived through Y2K and that dumb Aztec bullshit. I'm tired of listening to all these problems that never happen.
Yeah, every year it's a new catastrophe.
Yeah, exactly. Granted, the real catastrophes are the ones that Mother Nature shows us, not the shit that they tell us is potential. Like, it makes no sense to me. But that being said, we have spent 50 minutes talking about the political landscape of this country. Isaiah, you did say that you had a couple talking points. Let's shift gears. Let's
Continue talking about those for a second, because my mind was just so towards the political. Like, I'm not a political person.
I know, that's why I did that.
I listen to people. One thing you'll learn about me, free advice, is I'm very devil's advocate. I see both sides of the spectrum. So, like, when it comes to politics, I hear the Republican side, I hear the Democrat side. I think there's good points of each, but I think there's also bad points. But, like, it gets me in trouble sometimes because I'll argue one way versus the other. But yeah, continue talking. Let me remember what I was wanting to talk about.
All right. Well,
I think as long as you're open to a conversation, it doesn't really matter. I think what has happened, especially since COVID and everybody got sent home, we've all divided from each other, and a little bit of humanity was lost.
Nobody wants to talk ever.
Yeah, dude, I literally have friends as early as elementary school, middle school, and high school who stopped talking to me about different stuff. They put their fork in the road, and because I've had certain opinions on certain things, they just decided they're not talking to me anymore. And it's a little bit like, wow, you've literally known me since I was a child, and now you believe these weird things that the media has told you because I have this one viewpoint. And I'm explaining to you why I have this viewpoint, and you're like, nah, I'm just... No,
or the fact that everyone takes everything as an insult nowadays.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk to people because I feel like since COVID, I mean, not necessarily since COVID, but I feel like as a population, people have become rather radical about their beliefs, and
that's because the internet's given everybody a fucking voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think... Personally, like I said, I see both sides. I absorb all this information, like all the information that you guys were talking about with Trump and stuff. It's not that I don't pay attention to Trump. It's not that I avoid him or avoid politics per se. It's just this is how I learn about this stuff, through talking about it. So. That's why I was quiet at the very beginning, is because I was just trying to absorb everything that you guys were saying.
Hey, that makes sense. And that's, honestly, a lot of people have a problem doing exactly what you just did. A lot of people have a hard time not talking when they don't know anything about the subject.
Yeah.
And that's another problem that I think the internet has bred. A lot of people just think that their opinion matters much more because somebody put a like under or something.
You can find your echo chamber if you want it.
Yes, absolutely. There's a niche for anybody.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. But I think the separating people into black and white or whatever, two sides, and that's it, is starting to break.
All right, I just had somebody in chat say tariffs on Canada is wild. Any thoughts?
So one, I don't think tariffs will be a long-term play. I could be wrong, but I believe they're being used as negotiating tactics.
Absolutely.
But
I completely agree with that. I think that Trump is it, but anything. He has this mob boss mentality, so to speak, and he throws his weight around to get results. And it like the Cuban situation, like he threatened their president, and in 36 minutes their president folded, and we started landing our plans there. So I feel like he is just going to use whatever is at his discretion to get a result that he wants and quickly, because a lot of his play right now is instant gratification for the American people. That shit in California was like the first thing that I saw where I knew he was just going to get wheels turning, where he pretty much shut their governor down and was like, no, I want people in there tonight. Not 6 months, I want them in there now, cleaning out their own stuff, rebuilding their houses. And she couldn't do anything but bite her tongue and agree, because that was the president telling her what to do. So I believe the tariffs are just in the same exact vein. He is using a button to press to get a result, and he's going to keep pressing it until said result happens.
yeah, I think this is a good topic for another day, because I do want to get into Izzy's maybe non-political stuff, but
Completely.
We used to only survive on tariffs as a country.
Yep.
Until 1913. So when people act like it's impossible, it's not impossible. The government needs to rein in spending. We should get more of our money in our own pocket.
You quiet down. I'm sorry. I have an invader. She came in here and started hitting my bong. Lady, you put that down and you exit the room. Please.
Why is she always so loud?
It's not Caitlin, it's Alex.
It sounded like she was right in the microphone. That's kind of wild.
She was like right next to me, so it makes sense. She's like in the background to my left, but she's sneaking away right now. Bye. I don't know. I'll give you a holler. All right.
So one thing I was wanting. Oh wait, hold on. Advice. You finished talking about what you were talking about.
No, I think it's a good thing for later, because if we get into a tax topic, that's going to be the next 20 or 30 minutes. So let's go ahead.
I agree. Let's get some non-political stuff rolling.
Do either of you guys watch sports? Specifically football?
Why did you ask me that?
So
An open question.
Yeah, I got
that's true. The audience doesn't know, Zanku.
That is true. That is true.
Do you watch football?
Yeah, yes, I do. I actually grew up with Isaiah, so he knows what I like. Isaiah's my IRL best friend.
All right. Hey, he's a good host.
He is.
I think you did that right, Izzy. I think you did that right.
No, he did.
So I don't. This might be TMI, but I'll give more information to the stream or to our communities. But I grew up a sports junkie. I watched every sport. Basketball was my favorite. Pro basketball was my favorite. But every sport over hours and hours and hours a day. And then in 2015, right before or right as the NBA playoffs were starting, my mom unexpectedly died from cancer. Didn't know she had it. Went to the hospital for pneumonia. What she thought was pneumonia. It turns out stage 4 colon cancer. Dead 2 weeks later.
Jesus.
And I did not care about sports or the playoffs then, and I've never gotten it back. With that said, I do keep up on what's happening in the sports world, but I've actually turned more towards esports. I watch more Valorant esports.
Okay, gotcha. Hey.
Anything else.
I will start I kind of, not that I meant to tune away from it, but I used to watch Rocket League and stuff like that. But now that I know that you do watch that stuff, I'll start watching that so we can talk about it. But the main thing I was thinking about was the Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl. I wasn't sure if either of you guys watched the Bills game.
I didn't watch the Bills game, but I did watch recap on YouTube, as always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I watched actually a good amount of it.
Oh, yeah?
I was at my in-laws, and the only time I ever watch football is when I'm at my in-laws, and my father-in-law had the game on and was actually having a party, so I watched most of the game there.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to talk about was how absurd. I wish I could pull up a clip, but the Chiefs, I think it was Juju Smith-Schuster, who's number 9. He caught the ball, technically, and just how it was ruled a catch.
Is that the one that hit the ground?
Yes, like 70% of the ball, or 75% of the ball, like hit the ground, and it was just even the show hosts were just baffled that it counted, and
So,
yeah, just
who are you guys pulling for? Eagles or Chiefs?
Eagles.
yeah. For me, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure I'll appreciate the fact because I didn't like Tom Brady growing up either.
Well, I did.
But when I reached a certain age, it was like I didn't want him to stop playing, and I absolutely rooted for him in Tampa Bay because it was like, dude,
yeah.
I'm watching something I'll probably never see again.
Exactly. I'm a
Like, this is
Boston fan through and through, Celtics, Red Sox, Patriots, so grew up loving them. And Brady was... I have too many shirts and jerseys. I have a lot of Patriots. I have little mini action figures of Brady throwing a touchdown pass to Gronkowski. Yeah. So I never hated him for leaving. I in my head I was like, this is my MJ. Like, this is what I get to. This is the athlete that's like just doesn't stop winning, and I always rooted for him. I just wanted him to keep winning and keep playing. When Favre was doing it back in the day, when he kept retiring and come back, I was like, just come back and play some more. I used to love that shit. It's like when greatness is out there, like you always see something amazing, and you get so few of those athletes that I never worry about how long they want to ride that roller coaster.
I don't mean to sound pretentious,
Mm-hmm.
but the way I viewed Tom Brady was unlike any. Like, Brett Favre isn't even in the beginning of this conversation with me simply because, and that's not to say Brett Favre wasn't great, did a lot of winning, won a Super Bowl, right, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Tom Brady went to 9?
Yeah, I think it was 9. Yes,
And
it's either 9 and 1-7 or 8 and 1-6.
Oh yeah, 7 with Tampa Bay. With you did if you count the Bucks, yeah.
Like, to win
Insane.
a team, yeah, and it's a team game. He couldn't have done it by himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's any way we'll ever see that again. But this is where Mahomes. This is the change.
Tom Brady went to 10 Super Bowls. He is 7-3. No, is that?
Oh, he lost to Philly. That's right. He lost to Philly and the Giants twice. So yeah, that makes sense.
God damn, bro had rings everywhere.
You want to know what's crazy? He has more rings than a single, like, so Patriots have 6 Super Bowls.
Yep.
49ers have 6. And Steelers have 6. Those are the top 3.
And Brady has 7 on his own.
Brady has 7.
Yeah. Hey, bonjour.
So watching something like that is awesome. So I'm sure at some point I'll get to the point where I'm like, hey, you know what? It's actually pretty cool watching Mahomes do this. Right now, I just don't like it.
Agreed.
I don't know why.
I can't root for him simply that I can't let him sniff greatness. Like if he keeps winning, I can't see a world where he won't catch up. So he better fucking stop winning. In my head, so that's where I stand. But no, I love watching him play. He's clearly amazing at the quarterback position. Plays it unlike most others out there. Has a very good movement game and throws the ball really well off of his back foot awkwardly. So Mahomes just was bred to do what he is doing. So I would love to see him win again, but in my right mind, I can't root for him. So I will be rooting for the Phillies. We need the Eagles.
Go ahead, Izzy.
I was just gonna say, I too am gonna be rooting for the Eagles because even with Tom Brady, I didn't have anything against Tom Brady. I didn't have anything against Mahomes, but when the commentator, so I'm a Steelers fan. I love the Steelers, but when I'm in a Steelers versus Baltimore game, and I hear Mahomes being brought up, like, there's a time and place to be talking about Mahomes, and it's not a Steelers versus Baltimore Ravens game.
Right.
Like, I think that it should. I don't really know. It drives me nuts when people just talk about one person at any point. So, like I said, I don't have anything against Mahomes, and I don't have anything against Tom Brady, but I hope they lose just so then I don't have to hear about the Chiefs possibly being able to go in 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah. Although the media will still be nuts because if they lose, it'll be like, can they come back?
Yeah, always.
You're like, yeah, it's never going to be done. But you know what's funny? To bring this to a little bit of pop culture.
Yep.
I think what killed the general population excitement about what the Chiefs are doing is Taylor Swift. I think there's a part of the population who's like, I don't care about
I fully endorse this
take. I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
I don't want to see her. I don't care about her. Like, stop this. And it just rubbed them the wrong way. And they just got mad. And now they're like, no, I'm not rooting for the Chiefs. When I think a lot of people, right, because there's a front runner or bandwagon, whatever you want to call it. Anytime someone's great, there's always people who are like, wait a minute, you're from California, but you're a Chiefs fan? What? How did you do that? And they come up with some weird story about it, but we know why. It's because they're winning right now, and that's the thing. But
bandwagon.
A lot of people, yeah, there's just a lot of people who are like, no, I'm not rooting for the Chiefs, and I think it has to do with Taylor Swift.
Oh, agreed, completely.
And what really sucks is that it's not even like her fault. Like that.
No,
NFL,
dude, she's just there. She's just there.
The NFL was pushing this. Like, yeah.
I don't understand why the NFL does this unless they're trying to get Swift's fans. I think they're called Swifties.
Yep.
I think unless they're trying to get the Swifties to watch, which that's not going to work. They're not just going to watch 3.5 hours of football for a glimpse of Taylor in a box. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I'd watch 3.5 hours of football for Taylor's box.
I will kind of. So I have watched many videos of like little girls.
What?
Hold on, Ricky, let me finish. From like age 10 to 16, actually watching football with their fathers, and
because of Taylor.
I don't think it's because they show Taylor Swift, but I think it's because of Taylor Swift pushing it herself. Like she's saying that she's going to support her,
and they're so in love with her that they'll do whatever she does.
Exactly. So
it's that herd mentality.
I don't think that showing Taylor Swift on football really pushed anything. It probably pushed people away more. But I think Taylor Swift being part of Travis Kelce's life, I think that did help bring a different group of people in. Yeah. Whether or not that hurt the Chiefs or helped them, I think it probably hurt them more, like you said. But there is that. There is like a new group of people that are watching.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his run, Mahomes' run, so this would be 3 in a row. And then they were not in it, right? Wait, no, I think it's if they win, it's 3 wins in a row.
3 wins in a row.
Did they go the year before that, or was that the Cincy year?
I'm sorry. Take a second and read what G1 said in Free Advice's chat. I'm sorry. I was like, I just got distracted by chat for a second, and that it just took me so off guard. I had a nightmare and all my time.
That might be the most creative one I've seen.
I know. It's like, that's good. You put some thought into that, and I like it.
Yeah. But okay, so if he wins this time, that's 3 in a row. But I think it was the Bengals, and who did the Bengals lose to?
Isaiah? I can look it up.
I am
No,
drawing
I'm
a
looking up
blank.
Super Bowl history.
Then
Okay,
I think
so
the one
Chiefs
before that
did win. Okay, here we go. Chiefs versus Philly last year. Oh no, this year.
They went in 2022 against
San Fran.
LA.
Chiefs versus Philly. LA versus Cincinnati. Tampa Bay versus Kansas.
Yeah, it was
Kansas
LA versus
City.
Cincy.
So in the last 6 years, Kansas City has went 5 times. The one that broke it up was in 2022. It was LA versus Cincy.
See, and that is so hard to do in a sport like football.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, it's because you can't have, like in basketball, if you have 3 good players, you still have to have a supporting cast and all that, but you're going to be guaranteed a certain level of success if you have 3 good players. You're at least going to be a playoff team without possibly a shot. In football, dude, there's so many moving parts. To keep that thing going for essentially 6 years straight is insane.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And so if he wins, this will be his 4th Super Bowl ring.
Wow.
That is
And
cool.
he's still a young man. He's in his 20s, isn't he?
I can't look at him and think anything but kid. You know what I mean? Like, because he's just got this young kid face. When Russell Westbrook won the Super Bowl, he had the same thing. He gave me this like young kid vibe, and like that's what Patrick has always given me. But he wins, and he's definitely built to play the position. So he was bound for greatness.
You bring up a good comparison, because that Seattle team looked like they were going to run football.
Yeah.
And I think they went to 2 Super Bowls and only won 1. And they had an incredible Legion of Doom, or whatever they were called, on defense with Russ and not Patrick Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch. Yep.
Marshawn.
Yeah.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, dude, they were an incredible team, and they could only get 1.
To be fair,
Mahomes is a shot for his 4th.
they had to play my Patriots, and it was easily the worst fucking last play call I've ever seen in a Super Bowl. Like, for them to throw that ball
When you had the number 1.
when you have the number 1 running back in the entire league on your team in the game, and you throw it and get picked off to lose the Super Bowl. Wildest scenario. Like, it's like just as crazy as the fucking helmet catch from the what was what was the undefeated this season.
Wasn't that Tyree?
It was David Tyree.
Yeah,
it was David Tyree.
Odell's the one with the.
I literally teared up during that
with
one.
the one-handed snatch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He was legit when Odell was like out there to play and actually win. He was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was incredible, man. He was incredible.
Yeah, football has always had a soft spot in my heart. Ironically, I played baseball heavily all throughout high school and into college.
Wow, you were a college athlete.
I was for 2 whole semesters, and then computers and a kid consumed me.
The fact that you even made it at all, like...
Oh, bro, I had a
played?
scholarship my junior year for batting .346, hitting like
Dude, that's impressive.
41 home runs that season. It was. I have my last home run from our sectionals, the one where we won the championship, mounted on a plaque down in my dad's house.
Baseball's a little bit different than other sports, but a lot of these dudes who play sports will never play with somebody who goes pro.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
People don't really realize how good professional athletes truly are.
Absolutely.
At what they do.
The best player on my college team plays for the farm league for fucking Vermont. There's a team in Vermont that's a farm league for The Red Sox. They're not the Pawtucket ones. They're the next one down. They're like their second division league, and that's like where our best player ended up. So like it's so hard to be in that upper echelon of athlete.
But each level you go up is incredibly difficult. Like the fact that you made college says a lot. I don't even care if it was like a minor community college, right? That has 50 people attending. It's still impressive to make it to a college team. Like, holy cow.
It was fun. I have a little brother that always pushed me in the right direction as a teenager. He also was an incredibly gifted baseball player. He could throw 85 miles an hour at 16 years old, so it was very easy to get good at hitting when your little brother can throw the fastest fastball in the league. So I had and my father was my assistant coach for my varsity high school team. So I had every bit of the right push in the right direction. That circles around to what we were saying earlier, The parents mold their children in the direction they want. My father was the assistant coach on the varsity baseball team, so of course he wanted his boys to play baseball. And that's what we did growing up. So, I never ever thought, like, it was some of the best times of my life. That, like, camaraderie you get to have on a sports team, it's so hard to duplicate.
Best feeling.
After you've left it. There's it's so hard to replicate. You're always chasing that. Like, streaming to me is almost one of those things. It's like, it's almost in the same vein where it's like you're out in front of somebody doing something. And I like that. But nothing compares to like getting in front of a group of people and doing something really cool.
Yeah.
Kind of feeling the hype from the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I never even thought about it like that. No, I actually stuck around in this area because of my high school girlfriend. I regret it incredibly. I only used the scholarship for 2 semesters and dipped. And that was because it was fun. It was fun. College in general was fun.
Yeah. See, I was a slacker. I didn't realize how much my effort controlled my outcomes until later in life. Like, I was the kid who I went to the gym, and there were 3 exercises I did. Curls, tricep extensions, and bench press.
I know one of those. I know one of those guys.
Yeah, I didn't start squatting for real until I was like 30 years old. And now, I'm like a 40-year-old. Compared to other 40-year-olds, I'm kind of a beast. But,
bro, you look great for 40-year-olds old. Like, you look... You doing it because a lot of people look old now. Is that not something that you've ever noticed in like culture?
Yeah.
Like everybody just looks like they're adults, and it doesn't make sense because like they skip the in between.
Everyone's shooting for it, man. We're kids trying to be adults too young, but yeah. But now, like, I'll be straight. I haven't lifted heavy in about 6 months since we moved. But before we moved, I was squatting, I think, like 245 for reps. I know those aren't crazy numbers, but for a 40-year-old, incline dumbbell at 90-pound dumbbells. I forgot how much I was doing bent over rows at like 225 or 235 pounds. Like,
you're making me feel lazy.
Well, dude, I have a gym at home.
I wish.
It'll change your life because you can bust out a full body workout in 40 minutes. But either way, when I was a young kid, I just sort of got by. But I didn't have a dad around who like would kick my ass. So I think that that would have changed things. I had my mom who was working all the time, who just let me kind of do whatever I wanted, and not having responsibilities is what I wanted. So that's what happened.
Hey, I feel that. So we all take our own path. Isaiah had a fucking helicopter parent growing up.
Yeah.
The exact opposite of what you felt. Whereas I had
the wrong thing and I was grounded for like a month.
Yeah, but he also told you that like Pokemon were for the devil and shit. Like
my father told me that the person who created Pokemon was a devil worshiper, so then I could not play Pokemon. I remember falling asleep in bed with my little Game Boy, like the original Game Boy, and I was playing Pokemon Yellow, I think, and I fell asleep with it. And when my dad came down, woke me up in the morning, like I was probably like 8, 9, and he saw that I had it, looked at the game, brought it upstairs, and I kid you not, I could hear the game being smashed with a hammer downstairs.
I'm sorry
And
for
I was
laughing.
grounded.
Like,
I
that
was
had to be
grounded
so
for
traumatizing.
So long.
Yeah.
So as he took it, I was literally, it was mine. I will admit it now. But as a little kid, I was like, no, don't break it. It's my friend's. I borrowed it from school. Didn't
Like, don't
matter.
care.
He smashed it. It was gone in the garbage.
Yeah.
Complete opposite.
Which is
yeah.
crazy considering how me and you became friends was through your father.
Yep.
It just makes
Yeah.
so my sister and Isaiah's father are about 3 or 4 years apart in age, and they worked together at the same place for a good amount of time. And one day I was told, "Hey, my friend John wants you to play this game called Destiny," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I bought it and started playing with him. And the first time I joined up, Isaiah was in the little fire team. You could have 3 members, and he was one of the 2 in there. And we kind of never stopped playing together. We kind of deleted his father from the group, but we've always maintained friendship. Your dad got old and cynical on us. That's what happened. And
my dad had this outlook on life that if he had a different opinion, like he could not, like even when I talk to him now, like if he thinks your idea is stupid, he will fight that idea and not listen to anything you say. It's just the absolute worst. Like you can literally prove him wrong. In fact, I've done it several times. And he still argues his own point.
I know.
Saying it's right.
It is so horrible.
That'll be stressful.
I openly up
is
front
very
tell
stressful.
people I like to argue, like not for the sake of pissing people off, but like that back and forth. I enjoy that. Like the you know, the debate from one another and opposing sides is fun. And he would intentionally let me rile him up and then get actually angry about it and have to storm off, and it just never made sense to me.
It's tough. That's funny. He's that sounds like how everyone is now. He was just ahead of the curve.
Yep.
He definitely was.
That's funny that you say that. I've never really thought about it that way, but it really is. And I still love him. He's just a dumbass. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But
go ahead, my bad.
oh, I was just gonna say, does anybody have a change of gears? I say we can push for the next. What is it? It's 9:36. We probably push for the next 24 minutes, and that'll give us a little over an hour and a half of time.
All right. The next topic I had was kind of political, so I don't want to do it. It was going to be about Greenland. So let's do another non-political thing.
All right, anybody? Okay, so here, I already know what Isaiah's hobbies are. Do you have any hobbies like collecting things or things that you do outside of streaming, podcasting, this type of deal, like that you do just for the sake of collecting or having or doing?
Dude, I might be the most boring human being in the world. I have no hobbies. I have no collections. I just kind of like enjoy living. I just kind of enjoy doing what I'm doing. When I was a kid, I collected basketball cards until one of my friends stole my whole collection, and then I was done.
Ooh, that's so shitty.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you now it's like
imagine.
thousands of bucks.
Yeah.
Oh, because I had my one binder with like the cards, my 50 best cards, and then I have my next binder with my 200 good cards, and then a bunch of other cards. But yeah, gone. Stole my whole collection. So I'm trying to look back here. I ride a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
I haven't rode a motorcycle in a number of years, but I used to ride a crotch rocket. That's what I was driving around during college. Me and my brother both bought them.
Nice. I have a sport touring bike. So,
oh, nice. A lot more comfortable. Bet your balls don't hurt when you're done.
And not just more comfortable, I have the, I don't know if you know the engines, but essentially the Kawasaki Z1000 engine, I believe, is
Jesus
what's
Christ.
in the Concourse. But I'm in a Concourse, so it weighs, when it's wet, like 600, 700 pounds.
No shit. Okay, so Stonus is in chat, and he says he has a 2024 R7. Now, Stonus, is that the one that you dumped? Or is that a newer bike? Because, okay, not to out you like that, but he was definitely out there fucking around and definitely dumped one of his bikes and ended up in a little bit of a banged up situation. He's our brother from Canada. He also streams, and one of these nights we'll get him on here with us. But yeah, he's all things Canada. That's who I tap into, and I need to know.
Brand new.
No, brand new. Okay, that makes sense.
It's because he crashed the other one.
Yeah, I imagine so. You also told me you weren't going to be driving a bike for a while, but apparently that tune changed pretty quickly.
Oh,
that was at
right.
CBR 300.
And is the R7 650, or what is the R7?
Yeah, what do you got in there? I had a CBR 600R for a while, and then a Ninja 1000, and that thing scared the piss out of me, so I sold it.
Okay, so the Ninja 1000, I thought because of my history with bikes that I'd be able to ride that, but they do a 700, 689. Okay, it's pretty good. But in Arizona, I think they do this elsewhere, but motorcycle companies will actually come here, and you can test ride their bikes.
Oh, no shit.
On a 3-mile ride. They take you up onto the freeway, off, and I got on I think it was just the Ninja 1000. This was like 6-7 years ago. But it was essentially a naked bike.
Right.
It was like the engine and a seat. And it almost threw me off the back of the bike.
Yep.
I was accelerating up onto an on-ramp, and I thought I could do it the way I do it on my bike. And
but you got extra lift from that power?
Everything. Dude, I almost wheelied. Like, I'd never felt anything like that. It gave me... I already drive like a grandpa. I do like accelerating quickly. It's the one thing I really enjoy. I like going 0 to 45 as fast as possible.
Hell yeah.
I learned another level of respect after almost getting thrown off that bike.
That must have been scary.
Yeah, I can imagine. I could definitely imagine. So the reason I stopped riding was, I'll be honest, me and my brother were driving to college one morning, and it was a little wet out, and we had been drinking a little bit the night before, and I was definitely a little hungover. And I came around a corner, and my tail end kicked out, and I slid through some grass and barely stopped like 1.5 feet from a fence. Like, that easily would have just probably decapitated me if I would have kept going. And I decided that I was getting rid of it, that I was too stupid to own something that went so fast, so easily, and been on 4 wheels since. That Ninja terrified me. It really did.
I haven't ridden much since we've had children. Like, so I've had kids for 5 years now. In the last 5 years, I've probably ridden a total of, 2,000 miles.
Gotcha.
Something around that. And then in the previous 5 years before having kids, I was probably riding 2,000 to 3,000 miles per year on my motorcycle.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So
I rode up to Kid 1. My first children's mother, she saw me. I mean, I took my son for a ride. Yeah, that's just all I did, and she had tears when I got back. So I was already knew that I was losing the battle on bikes. So after the scare with the fence, I knew it was time to pack up shop. But yeah, mortality on 2 wheels is a little bit more sketchy when you have children.
Yeah, I don't know if I still have it here, but if you've never heard of and this is for you too, Stones, but a Aero Stitch suit, you should look into it. It's armored. You can get more armor, and it's a full body zip up. So you can wear whatever you want to wear, and then you step into it and zip up. It's also bright yellow. Here, give me 1 second. I don't want to do what I'm about to do on camera.
No worries. Hey, Stoners, why don't you do the calculation for our American audience? 7,700 kilometers is how many miles? Isn't there like 3.25 mile to a kilometer or something like that?
Can you
It
tell
is
the color of this thing?
4,784 miles.
There we go. Thank you, Isaiah.
Can you see the color on this thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think the camera is doing it justice, but this is like, look at me yellow.
Yeah.
And like in the knees, and
He says
Like, there's-
he's seen that suit before.
it was me, brother.
It was him, brother. He was zooming by.
Dude, I pretty much changed everything because I used to do the black jacket, black helmet. Now that helmet right there is actually less visible than my other helmet, which is almost the same color as my suit.
Mhm.
I installed more running lights, LED running lights. All the lights on my bike are now LEDs, even though it's a 20-year-old bike. I have the reflectors, and I only ride in groups.
It's the safest way to do it.
Yeah, I don't. As much as I love riding, I've been close called too many times, and I'm not even. I don't drive crazy. I'm talking about situations that seemed this is very safe and became unsafe very quickly. So, yeah, only with friends, and I haven't taken a long ride on my motorcycle in probably 2 years.
Isaiah,
2.5 years.
you've never rode one, have you?
I was gonna say my 2 cents. I was thinking about starting riding a month before I met Kara. And then I met Kara, and I decided never to ride a motorcycle.
Motherfucker, you would do rock climbing, but you don't want to ride a motorcycle?
I do rock climbing. Well, not anymore. Not since I had Cade.
But you did.
Actually, just before. Yeah. I
You're
rock
talking about
climb.
what do they call that? Free.
I
solo?
I do not free solo. I'm harnessed in.
But you are doing real
Yeah.
rocks still.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
It's a lot safer than you think.
I mean, yeah,
Well,
you used
I
to
think
do
it's
that with Kyra, right? Is that her name?
Kira.
Kira?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
It's more I know you can definitely do it safe, all harness and all that sort of stuff, but it's a very challenging thing to do.
Mhm.
I already know your hands are like gorilla hands.
Yes.
And you have real strong fingers. You could
Yes.
probably hang from things with a
I need
finger or
3.
two. Yeah, I had no doubt.
But you literally ledges literally like this big. You have to hold on and support. You have to pull yourself to the rock wall, and sometimes you only have 2 holds. Like you have one for your foot, one for your fingers, and that's it. It's definitely an awesome experience, and I think it was like my 3rd rock climbing experience. Like I did actually like start falling, but like you do have your supports that are in the mountain. So like there's routes that you go up, and there's like eye hooks kind of. So you don't fall all the way down. But I lost the grip, and I fell probably about 5-6 feet.
Man, what did it feel like when the rope caught you? Like, did it snap your body back or whatever?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's
So
terrifying.
I had
Yeah.
a harness that was only around my waist and my legs.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of flung me like feet up.
Oh,
at
yeah,
first,
because your upper
and
body
then-
is just free hanging. Oh.
Yeah, yep. And then eventually after the momentum stopped, it kind of just hung me from my belly.
Wow.
But for probably about 5 to 10 seconds, I was definitely feet up in the air, head straight down. You do wear helmets, so thankfully the hit to my noggin was protected. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
Was it the longest 5 to 10 seconds of your life? Was it kind of happening in
felt
slow
it.
motion?
Yeah, no. So my immediate thought was like, oh shit, I hope this support is going to actually hold, because it's like
The first time
if
you're
it
ever having
if
to
it
deal with
doesn't
it. Ooh.
if it doesn't hold, then not only am I taking me down, but I'm taking my partner down as well, because you
Your buddy
are.
system anchored.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
So, but there's pretty much, yeah, if one support breaks, you do have like two more. Um,
Yeah, I
so
hope you
like
have redundancy
it's
on
not
redundancy.
just like it's not like you have to like rip out the hooks, like your supports multiple times. So if there is that fail, then you do have others, but yeah, you're always worried about them failing.
Yeah, I don't do. My brother's worse than me, but I don't do heights really. Like hanging from something, climbing something.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, not my thing. I'm the type who, like, I've been to the Grand Canyon,
Oh yeah.
and I'm not the walk up to the edge type. I'm like, oh, that's pretty
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
that's
That's
nice. I can
that's
see
pretty cool.
how far up I am from looking looking out
Yeah,
there, way
I
out
don't.
there.
I don't need it. I've seen too many videos now on the internet too, where I mean they're being kind of idiots, but people fall from these
yeah.
cliffs like thinking everything's cool, and then whoop, slip.
Yeah, the ground gives way or they make a misstep and
Or one thing that's notorious is the sand on the ledge or dust, and it's
oh.
just they lose their, like you said, they lose their footing. Um,
Yeah,
but
that's a little too
yeah, I was gonna say
terrifying for
something.
me. I mean, I love the risk, but I do crazier things like I'll jump off of a 60-foot dam into a 15 by 15 water pool, but I'm not fucking doing rock climbing. I know that. So, we definitely have
One,
different views on that.
so I have a completely different view from you on that. I I tell people this every once in a while, but I don't have a fear of heights. I just have a fear of falling. So if I feel secure, I don't mind the height whatsoever. If I'm not secured whatsoever, I don't like it whatsoever, because then I know there's a chance of falling. That's where my fear kicks in. So
Mm.
with rock climbing, I don't have that fear until I start falling. But then once I get myself reoriented, head up, like I'm perfectly fine. But jumping off a freaking dam, that's me falling. I am scared shitless.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. That's just the only thing I could think of that would relate to even that level of risk. Like,
Yeah.
but I haven't even done that in a couple years, so
Is
I don't even know how to relate to you. You're relying on equipment as much as yourself, and that's my problem. When I'm
Mm-hmm.
jumping off of something, I'm only relying on my judgment and my physical ability to, perform.
Yep.
I'd rather rely on that than have, a tool or an object have to, work for it to, work out.
yeah, is it called vertigo? Where when
Yes.
like you okay, my brother was gonna be a linesman, I believe is what he
Mm.
was trying to get to, and they pay really good money, but the training program, right? They have you start off on like a 6 foot pole, so
Hmm.
it's essentially your height. But right, it moves up, and when he got to, I think I hope he's okay with me saying this, but when he got to like the second pole, which was only like 8 feet or 10 feet, right? Not enough to kill you, not enough to really even hurt you. He couldn't not feel what he felt, even though he knew internally this is irrational. I'm okay here, but he also knew he had to go up higher, and he was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it gets that queasy, really dizzy
There's a
feeling.
point where
Yeah.
Yeah,
your body stops moving and your brain is not making decisions. You're just not going anywhere.
See, and I love that feeling.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
I feel that every once in a while when I'm rock climbing, and well, I haven't rock climbed in a little while, but I remember feeling it when I did. When you do have only one or two holds, and you are looking to like the next area, and it's that moment where you're like, I'm all harnessed in. So like I know I'm okay, but if I don't make this hold, then like I'm falling.
It's that
Like
roller coaster
it's
on the
that,
way up feeling.
and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna go for it, and then you make the move, and like halfway through the move, you're like, oh, dude, this like that's what I love feeling that, just that feeling of like, oh
The
shit,
rush. The rush is what most people do crazy shit to feel. Because that's why, dude, that couple of seconds before you actually jump, you're telling yourself, you know that you can't think about this, you gotta just do it or you're not gonna do it. Like, that's exactly the mindset that those words are playing in my head. And then I look down and it's like, ah, fuck it, and you just go. And as long as you don't have too long to think about it, it's not too bad.
I mean, that's like the appeal of the motorcycle, right? It's that like
yeah.
exhilarating feeling that you don't really get. Although, have you guys been in a Tesla?
No, I have not.
Okay, so I hadn't been either, but one of my buddies has a Tesla now, and I'm sure you've pinned it on a motorcycle, right, Zanku?
Yo,
like,
absolutely.
You know, okay, so you know that feeling where it's like this doesn't end.
Yeah.
Dude, but you just hit it. When you have to change gears, you get sort of a reprieve. Even though you're still hauling, you get like a reprieve for a second. Dude, it's like a long-term roller coaster feeling in a Tesla. I've never felt anything like that, and I don't honestly really enjoy it because it feels like you're out of control. But if you love that feeling, a Tesla's might be the coolest car you could possibly ever drive because it pins you back until you tell it to stop.
I feel like I only look for that feeling to give me anxiety. That would just put me in a state of anxiety the whole time. That'd almost be terrifying. Because, for those, my butthole's so puckered for those couple of minutes I'm on that roller coaster, you know what I mean? But, like, that's what you're living for. You're living for that rush. But, god damn.
Yeah, I mean, you're a savage, Izzy. I know motorcycle riding is dangerous, but you can sort of control it. But man, climbing up on a rock, like going up, like if everything goes wrong, I'm ending up down there. That's I don't know. That's terrifying, man.
You want to know what the worst part of it is, though? Is that climbing up isn't even the hardest part. If you want to turn back around, climbing down is even harder.
Yeah.
That's so, like you have to finish.
Exactly. That's why a lot of the jumps that I did, I always had to go because you're climbing up to get to the point where you can jump. Do you know how hard it is to climb backwards down? I'd rather jump into water than fall down rocks.
The only time that you're able to propel yourself down is if the person that you're rock climbing with is at the bottom, supporting you that way. Because like there's gadgets where you can like you take the rope and as I'm climbing up, the person supporting me will like pull the rope through. So the person that's supporting me has a pile of rope at her feet or their feet. Sorry, I keep saying her. It's the person I used to hike with, this girl, is at their feet, and then the rope that I'm bringing up is coming from the rope down there. So then if I fall, the person at the bottom comes up a little bit, but as long as they weigh, or the two people weigh relatively the same, she should be going back down, and I should be like level. So other than that, you have to kind of find a path back down.
Man, because it uses a pulley system, right?
Yeah.
So
that part uses a pulling system. Yes. Yeah. So that way, so with the pulley system, if I want to propel back down, they just have to. I don't really know how to explain it very well, but for the gadget, she just has to like flick a switch or something, and it will slowly let the weight from my body pull the rope back, and I just have to keep kicking off from the wall and I'll drop. So it's pretty fun. It is a rush sometimes, but
yeah. Well, I know we're getting close to time here. I do have to say, Izzy, I don't know the last time I've seen an American Eagle shirt or sweatshirt before. That's is that new, or have you had that for a while?
No, that's lock and loaded. He's had that.
I've had this for probably about 8 years. Oh no,
Dude.
hold on.
You heard how his dad was
10
as a
years.
child? He
10
only
years.
got American flag clothes, brother.
One of my favorite shirts of all time. It's kind of weird to remember this, but was an American Eagle shirt. It was the very first shirt I ever owned that was that like
That really
not all cottons are the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. It
That
was
really
like I was
soft
in a Snuggie
fabric.
all day or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's great, and that's why I love this.
They're
It's
so soft on the
so
inside.
comfy.
Yeah, dude, it was my favorite shirt. I literally wore it. I had it for years and years, and I got rid of it with my wife because it got to the point that the collar was like,
Very stretched
weird.
out.
Yeah, like I was doing things like, hold on, let me rotate this back,
Yep.
and now my neck is okay, but now you can see like my back. It was weird, man. My wife's like, yes, I think it's probably time you can get rid of that shirt now. I think. I'm like, no,
I don't want
but yeah, great shirt.
Thank you.
I love that we're talking fashion here, but yeah, no, this has been like so much more smooth sailing than I ever anticipated. This has been a great first episode. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, three dudes having a conversation.
Enjoyed
Hell
Yeah,
yeah. Do we want to do an outro?
Sure. Anybody got anything recorded? Otherwise, we can just go with, this has been the Loose Change podcast with Zanku and Izzy. Wait, and Free Advice Guy.
Guys, thank you for coming.
week. We appreciate you.
Have a good night. What's going on, guys? Zanku here. Just want to say a quick thank you for everybody that joined us in tonight's first episode of the Loose Change podcast. We're going to be streaming live every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, on Twitch on any one of mine or my co-host channels. You can find us, or you can find us on the XankuGaming YouTube channel, uploaded usually about a day following each episode, or on Free Advice Guy's YouTube channel. So feel free to seek us out there. And remember, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, Loose Change Podcast. Hope to see you guys next week. And again, thank you for joining us.